The National AgrAbility program serves farm and ranch families touched by disability. It's about breaking down barriers and breaking new ground. The AgrAbility mission is to enhance and protect quality of life and preserve livelihoods. It's about supporting and promoting growth and independence. Ultimately, it's about hope. A disabling injury, illness, or lifelong disability can challenge anyone's hope. When you can no longer function as you once did, there are many unknowns. How can I continue my lifestyle? Will I be able to continue working? Can I support my family? Where can I get help? These questions are especially challenging when the individual is engaged in the physically demanding occupation of agricultural production. However, there is a USDA-sponsored program called AgrAbility that helps provide hope through tangible assistance to farmers, ranchers, and other agricultural workers and their family members impacted by disability. We'll start by meeting people who were able to continue in agriculture with AgrAbility's help and who have gone on to provide hope to others.
I was teaching microbiology at Northern Oklahoma College, and then my other job, full-time job, was ranching and farming. And when my accident happened, April 21st, 2004, obviously it turns your world upside down. What I was driving was called a rye wicker. This was only the second day that I'd ever driven the piece of equipment. I was seat belted into it, and I was moving out of one field and I was going to another one, and I came up through the bar ditch and it flipped right over on top of me. When that happened, I was pinned underneath it and I was folded up like a U, and broke my T12 vertebrae on my spine, shot the bone fragments into my spinal cord. Being in rehab, being in the hospital for 2 months was a hard thing on a farm boy, because not only is a lot of your legs taken away and a lot of your freedom, but in those weeks, you're always surrounded by people and walls, and it's like you can't get out.
I graduated from college in May of '81, and I had my degrees, and I was working on the farm in the harvest season, and got entangled in the combine, and that October, I was about 23, and lost my leg, and right at the knee, in the head of the combine. And that kind of pretty much was a turning point there in 1981 for me, and pretty much the rest of my life. When I was injured, there wasn't an AgrAbility program established in '81, and I don't believe Illinois got their program up and running until '91 or '90, somewhere in there. And so, there wasn't really a support group for me to turn to that maybe might understand an ag-related accident. So I didn't even know how to spell prosthesis when this whole thing went down. At that point in time, you got to figure out which direction you want to go into. You either go on and up or you go down and south. And I was a pretty good athlete in high school and college, played a lot of basketball and softball, and kind of had my captain's jobs and such with the basketball teams. And I was never too much of a quitter to begin with, so I decided to go on and up.
My birthday was July the 8th. I was 8 years old. I've been here all my life. We raised hay and the beef cattle. We had 70 acres. I had a knee replacement. Then my old heart got so it wouldn't work. I had hook a leg into it. So I got a pacemaker. had a mini strokes. I can go to bed feeling good and wake up the next morning. I was lucky if I could get my clothes on. See, I had one eye lost, and it makes it difficult for me to operate. I can do it, but it takes me a long time to get something done.
I was injured in 1983 in Maryland, and at the time I had 2 children. One was 2 and one was 4 years old. And my injury was from a gunshot wound, a domestic violence situation. So the shot that was the worst was the one in my spine, but I had also an injury to my hand and my upper arm. So I was 10 months in the rehabilitation facility up in Baltimore. And so, all this was going on, and we actually just focused more on, getting ourselves back together. We kind of referred to ourselves as the 3 Musketeers because it was just us. It was a new life we were now engaging in. It wasn't over, but it was certainly different.
AgrAbility provides a variety of services to help promote independence and productivity. While AgrAbility does not provide equipment or funding, staff members are often able to help secure funding for modifications, assistive technology, and vital services through state vocational rehabilitation services and other means.
Well, AgrAbility has really helped me out. Conquered a lot of challenges, from opening shed doors to having lifts on the tractor to hand controls in my pickup, portable hand controls, lift in my pickup. All very necessary to a farming operation. This scooter right here, major improvement over my quality of life, as opposed to a manual chair or even an electronic scooter that you see advertised on TV can't do what this would do. In other words, I go through mud. I went through a 2-foot snowdrift last winter and just kept right on going. But that allows me to get back out, do the farming, check the cattle, and then also I can go out and I can hunt and I can fish.
I can't remember exactly how I learned about AgrAbility, but it seemed like it was in some sort of, like Prairie Farmer magazine or something like that. I said, one of the biggest problems I have is my mobility with carrying stuff. And I said, I got big open barns, and I need some sort of like little helper vehicle. It was like 1995 when I had that meeting with Mike, and that's when we decided that AgrAbility would help me acquire a gator to utilize around the farm here.
I went to soil conservation meeting. I got into it with AgrAbility.
Philip had attended a meeting with soil conservation that had extension there as well, Maryland Cooperative Extension. And they gave Philip my name. Philip called me and asked me if I could come out to the farm and help him with some of the chores that he was having trouble with.
Believe it or not, he said that he can't do this and can't do that. But once he get out there doing, and when you got a second hand just to hold something for you, it's a big help. So yeah, I enjoy him working with me. When he's not out here working, it just makes more work for me where you can have just that second hand.
John got a job offer here in Maryland, and then that became our first major contact as me as a client. And besides, doing some house modifications was when we came here to Southern Maryland and involved in the Maryland-Delaware AgrAbility program. And Coit had come out, and it was funny because I didn't really know there was an AgrAbility program here, and it was one of the other Christmas tree farmers that found a brochure somewhere, at the library or something like that, and brought it to us. With the AgrAbility program, one of the big things that they had done too was there's a Ventrac machine that Coit brought down for me to use, and I had always been pushing out into the first couple of rows of trees to weed, hand weed, and usually by the time I got to the 5th row, I was pretty worn out. So then going down the road to weed, and by the time I was done, I was pretty flat worn out because it's really hard to push in the grass with a wheelchair. So I would just kind of like do one row at a time every evening. So when Coit said something about, well, we've got this thing, it's kind of like a little tricycle thing, you just wheel your wheelchair up into it. So when he brought that, it was like, oh boy, am I cut loose here. So it was great to be able to just go out in the trees and check for stuff that, normally I see when I'm on the mower, But if we get back to it, yeah, we flag it, but just never know. But now I can trim, I can flag, I can spray stuff that's getting way out of hand, and it's just really made it nice.
Now I can get into the tractor, I can go out and do field work, which it's one of those things that it's almost therapy for me. You get out there and you feel like, hey, you know what, I'm back home.
Definitely, and for me, it is just great to see John so self-reliant again, and to be able to get his life back and have a passion for life. And AgrAbility definitely was a big part in doing that and giving him the tools and equipment in order to get his life back and that enjoyment back and smile back of life.
If I do anything right in my world, is I'm going to stay connected with my AgrAbility program.
AgrAbility's goal is to not just help farmers and ranchers survive, but to thrive and even to reach out and provide hope to others.
I wouldn't have it any other way. I mean, I was born and raised a farmer, and I guess this is what I'm going to be, so I'm perfectly content with, raising my champion heifers and taking on the state fair, and the World Dairy Expo is in October, and we're moving forward with our show stock.
I started this endeavor in 2006. I've been in 2 terms, 4 years. I had an accident, and that was in 2004, and 2 years later, the incumbent in this district was not going to run any longer. So it was an open seat, and I really felt that God was leading me in that direction, that, hey, maybe you need to do this.
I like to see things grow. A garden, farm, beef cows. I like to see things grow.
Philip and his son had decided after the bale accumulator that it was worth to upgrade the barns. The building here behind me has taken the place of an old rundown tobacco barn that was half fallen down. So I believe that through AgrAbility and Vocational Rehabilitation, that he feels that the farm is worth building a new building to store the hay, that he feels that much better about himself, that he's able to get out here and do this.
One of the things that I enjoy doing, especially when people come to the farm for the first time, they may call on the phone to ask where we're located and stuff, and I think to see me in a wheelchair, and I think when they think I'm just the person behind the cash register or putting the cookies on the plate, but yet, they see me kind of tooling about on the farm, I just want people to see that, I'm sitting in a chair, but I'm, still capable of doing, as much as I can. I still have some good physical strength, and I definitely have the motivation and desire to do it. And I think one of the things we've done with outreach, trying to get more and more people to know about the AgrAbility project, there was, we met with the VR people here in Leonardtown, which is not too bad, just talking some about, what's available through AgrAbility, working with the farmers, getting them back, back to work on their farms in whatever capacity that they're able to do.
If you can help the next guy, why during this time of such crisis and, sadness and sorrow for whatever loss they had, make them go, through an even more difficult time by having no educational process to help them with. And so anyways, this AgrAbility program, I'm all about it.
Every AgrAbility project is a partnership between a land-grant university and one or more not-for-profit disability organizations. The National AgrAbility Project is currently a partnership between the Breaking New Ground Resource Center at Purdue University, Goodwill Industries, the Arthritis Foundation Indiana affiliate, and the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. As a program of the USDA's National Institute of Food and Agriculture, AgrAbility is part of the land-grant university extension system and is closely associated with the nationwide network of county extension offices.
The AgrAbility program was first authorized under the 1990 Farm Bill, and it was designed to provide assistance to farmers and farm workers with disabilities as well as ranchers so they can continue to pursue their livelihood in agriculture. I think the most important value of the AgrAbility program is that it helps increase the quality of life for people living and working in rural America. And agriculture is a very important industry in rural America. The people that come to us through this program, they want to stay engaged in agriculture, and they need help doing that. They need to help in terms of trying to figure out how can they continue to perform the tasks they need to perform in agriculture and stay productive in agriculture.
The way we go about trying to assist farmers and ranchers is in 3 different ways. We provide educational assistance, we have networking assistance, and primarily we work with direct assistance. And how we do that is through farm assessments.
The AgrAbility program could not function without the collaboration with numerous other organizations across the country, including Goodwill Industries, Easter Seals, Rural Independent Living Centers, the AT-ACT projects across the country, programs that provide services to youth such as 4-H and FFA, and finally state vocational rehabilitation services.
We partner with other organizations, in particular the Department of Rehabilitation Services, also known as Vocational Rehabilitation. They as an agency are charged with helping individuals with disabilities to either maintain or gain employment outcomes. And so it's a perfect partnership.
In addition to our core services, AgrAbility also provides services to other groups such as spouses and caregivers, to migrant and seasonal farm workers, to youth, and also to veterans.
Well, from my background as a veteran and having served with other service members who had been injured as a result of their service, I know that there are a number of veterans who might not think that farming is a vocation that's available to them. And we would like to be a part of reaching out to that group, that there are ways to get into niche farming that are ideally suited for people with various levels of ability.
Currently, approximately half the states around the country have an AgrAbility project. If you would like to obtain more information concerning AgrAbility or request services, visit www.agrability.org or call 800-825-4264.
For me, what was so great about AgrAbility was that after you see someone that you love that's injured and it seems like so much is taken away from him, to be able to see that he can get that back and he can get those tools back, and there's someone that's willing to help and step in and say, hey, we're here to help you, and we're going to get you back on that tractor, and we're going to get you back in the field and doing what you love. It's just like somebody's thrown you a lifesaver. So
yeah, that's exactly right.
It's great, and it's great to see now that my husband can have that passion for life again and to do the things that he loves and to get that smile back on his face again. So we love AgrAbility.
AgrAbility giving me a chance to do some of the normal things I couldn't do. Without AgrAbility, I would be more like in the bed asleep. But I don't want to sleep.
The AgrAbility program, I couldn't imagine not being involved with it in the capacity that I am, because I just really have a lot of respect for it, and I think that I'm holding my own as far as trying to make the connection between the individuals and our services we have available, and I can go to bed at night and know that I've done a good thing for whatever the situation was that day.
What I really appreciate with the program is it's a program that really works. And one of the things it does, it helps you appreciate the challenges people encounter in life and what the integrity and the persistence they have in overcoming those barriers. And the people we serve through this program all exhibit that type of quality, and they inspire you to be the same way.
The people that are farmers in this country, I mean, it's in their blood, and it's something that really means a lot to them, and for them to lose it is not just like they're displaced for temporarily. It really takes almost the soul out of them, I think. And to be able to get them back working in the earth, or working in the ground, and just being under the clouds, and working just outside with nature. It really is important, and in whatever aspect we can make that happen for them, we really need to hone in on that, and then also help motivate them to let them know that we're here to make it work for you. If it's adaptive equipment, some assistive technology, just whatever it takes, because we understand where your heart is, and it's out here, in our case, among the trees.